Hey, we're back. We're live. And I am really excited to talk about why I've niched into just supporting Squarespace. Hi, my name is Wayne Pelletier. Welcome back. Thank you for subscribing, following, liking, and all the comments I get. Thanks for the DMs, all the back channel compliments and questions, and it's just been a super experience. And I was asked a question the other day. Something I did was send out, the question was why Squarespace over WordPress. What had happened is over time, I've been notifying older clients about this transition if I've ever worked with them on a different platform. The question was WordPress focused, and I'll read it in just a sec. But this person didn't know that I ran a business that also did Shopify and some Wix and a few card sites and whatever else would pay the bills when I first got this business fired up. And the question was, the email went out to say, hey, just so you know, support for WordPress is being sunset. We're doubling down on our focus for Squarespace. We think it serves businesses like yours a lot better. And this is what the transition is going to look like. Partly because of a plugin, I think it's called Update Plus or something like that, where it would create backups of the website and pop them into a Dropbox account. And I'm killing the Dropbox account. So problem. And it's been running for like 4 years. And it's a stable website, well built, but I just wanted to let them know that they just want to change where that site is backing up to, maybe one of their drives, because mine won't be there anymore, and I'd hate for them to see errors. Just being completely transparent and clear about the transition and what it looks like and why it's all happening. So the question came back, and they were fine with it, totally cool, totally get it, which is great, and they're great folks. I've known them for quite a few years now. And the question was posed, won't this, with this switch, why the switch from WordPress to Squarespace? And it got me thinking, I could write a blog about this, but I hate writing long form anything. It just doesn't help me clarify my thoughts the way talking them out does. Sorry, or I guess that's good for you and I. And then there was a follow-up that I want to get to. The follow-up's actually the meat and potatoes, for lack of a better analogy, the bulk of this video. So the follow-up was, won't this compromise SEO and plugin options, assuming that, making what was an abundant and lower cost option, open source realm type of thing, a walled garden and high cost option only. And it's really interesting to think that period. We are not in the same headspace. And I think that a lot has changed in the last 5 or 10 years online, not just the software we use to create websites, the browsers themselves. To think that we could do anything in a browser, even remotely close to what you can do with Squarespace or even a CRM, right? Like HubSpot or any of them, right? The Notion, the idea that you could interact with what was essentially just a form 30 years ago in a way that interacted with a database real time, in the early aughts, we were calling it Ajax. There were different versions of JavaScript that was supporting it, real-time updates in different ways as we moved away from one server programming environment into another server and programming environment, and things like Ruby on Rails and the advancements in JavaScript and PHP really helped change a lot of things. But to be honest, I don't think WordPress has changed a whole lot. Like it has, certainly, but not in the same meaningful ways. And I think that what's changed here is, and I'll get to the SEO thing. I wanted to say something about it, but I'm going to hold off on that for just a second. But once I decided who I serve and fully committed to them, then my choice to go with Squarespace as a business was actually relatively easy, right? The three biggest ones just being security and cost, ease of customer and client use, and I'll throw in a bonus, built-in features. So the idea that WordPress is free has always been comical, funny, ironic. I don't know what you would call it, but it is absolutely not free. If you're paying me to do anything with it, it is sure as hell not free. The other thing would be a lot of the plugins may be low cost, but you don't know who made them. You don't know that they're always going to be updated. Plugins have commonly been security vulnerabilities in the WordPress sites that I've seen, made, participated in, been invited to. Like the plugin ecosystem, I don't want to sit here and pretend that it's healthy. At the high level, it's fantastic. Any of the premium plugins you can buy in there, phenomenal. All of them. Whether it's for image optimization, security, commerce, but they're all $200 a year. They're not free. So on top of your $10 a month hosting for wherever, cheap hosting you want to go with, not premium hosting like WP Engine or something that does cost quite a bit more than $10. Managed hosting or anything like that, you would use at scale. For self-managed, whether it's, at any of the low-cost providers, we'll call them discount providers like GoDaddy or Namecheap or anything like that. I hate naming names in that regard because those are good companies and they provide good service. It's not really to diss them. It's to say that if we're going to have a low-cost argument and we want to make for WordPress, you have to compare apples to apples, and the plugins, WordPress doesn't do anything out of the box, does it? You can blog. It just says hello world, and you can blog, and you can start adding pages, but there are no themes built in. There's one, and it's not actually business appropriate. And you can go buy a theme, some awesome place like Theme Forest or something like that. And there are great theme marketplaces, and install it, but not the general public. You definitely need a developer. And then you don't know what you're getting into. Some themes have all kinds of features for which you can customize, and some have almost none. So to me, that's a pretty dangerous marketplace. And it's not great to build a website, hand it over to a client, and they don't know how to update it and add text, remove text, change a photo because it was built in a way that is a lock-in for the provider of the service of the website. And that's not cool, but it is common, unfortunately. So one thing I like about Squarespace, forms. Every website gets forms, unlimited forms, free. Go knock yourself out. WordPress doesn't have forms. You have to install some plugin like Gravity Forms, which is great. Also, has lots of features at the free level. Not a ton. You definitely want to subscribe. I think it's like $80 or $100 for a year. It's not particularly expensive. But when you start stacking them up, because you don't get free SSL. Some hosts will give that to you. Some domain providers will give that to you. Oftentimes it's $60 a year. Squarespace throws it in. Security, premium security out of the gate. Every brand new virgin WordPress website is problematic from a security standpoint. And I think you'll do okay with premium or managed hosting, and you'll do fine at WordPress.com because they can manage that at the server level. But some hosts, it is not consistent what you're in for from a security standpoint. And I think that's problematic for a lot of businesses that think that the website was free, but we're already into $220 for the year. It's a weird dichotomy that's happening there. With Squarespace, security is not an issue. Everybody gets their own login, and you can manage who has permissions to see any website as a website owner or an admin, and it's managed, right? It's similar to premium managed hosting and how they manage security and permissions. Like that's definitely secure and consistent across the board. Every single website works the same, which I can't say for every every WordPress website I've been a part of. There's no commerce built into WordPress. The theme here of what WordPress doesn't do when you initially install it in its virgin state is building here. There's no commerce built in. The Squarespace websites do have commerce. You can build digital products, start putting together physical products, and start selling them now, like within minutes. It's built into the $16 a month to $50 a month price, depending upon how. I think it's $80 for the premium one. Depending upon how much you want to save, how much video storage you need, and how much you want to save on merchant fees. You can literally buy them down to zero outside of the Stripe fee. And then you can't take donations. I think for nonprofits and really small organizations that, especially locally, hyper-local organizations, donations are a big part of how they are able to build operating funds. And Squarespace gives you donations, a donation engine right out of the gate. WordPress does not. It absolutely does not. And WordPress doesn't have a built-in CRM. With no forms, there's no CRM. It doesn't collect every contact with people who filled out a form, and you can't tag them, you can't sort them, you can't email them without installing a CRM plugin. You can go get a great CRM, any of the amazing ones, whether it's Pipedrive or HubSpot, MailChimp, all of them. They're all fantastic softwares. But that's another fee. When someone fills out a form on the cheapest, most affordable Squarespace plan, they all collect into the contacts list. You literally have a small CRM right out of the gate. Is it the most feature rich? No, I'll give you that. But most of these feature-rich CRMs are way more than anyone ever uses. I would argue that as well. Now, like I said, no theme out of the gate. It's my next bullet. I don't know why I'm mentioning it because I already kind of brought it up. But I don't do themes or templates, so it doesn't really apply because coming up as a designer, art director, creative director, I know what a website, what I want to make it look like based on whatever strategic conversations I'm having with a client. So a blank canvas is faster and easier for me, but I can appreciate that some people like to get started with a theme, especially DIYers, which makes perfect sense. Squarespace makes hundreds of them available to every single one of you. And they even have an AI tool that will let you kind of build a custom theme specific for your needs. It's in the early stages, but technically it works fine, works good. Third-party integrations, there's out of the gate, zero. But WordPress, a lot of these plugins for integrations with, say, Google or QuickBooks or your CRM, a lot of those are free. You will pay for a lot of those softwares on the back end. So, I don't think Google Search Console costs anything, but out of the gate, all those plugins are readily available to every Squarespace website. Even most of the Google, not most, but a lot of the Google features, especially from a search standpoint or a tagging standpoint, even Amazon UI account number tagging is just built in. So you just put your account number in there and boom, you're off to the races. It's a nice feature. It's a way to move fast, and it's been absolutely bulletproof. So when you start adding up the costs of premium security, which don't skimp on that, please don't ever skimp on security. Theme builder or a plugin like that, like some of the really robust ones, Elementor, Divi, they're awesome. But they're only as good as the person working with it. I would also argue that. And premium form plugin, commerce plugin, SEO plugin out of the gate. There are no SEO features really in WordPress out of the gate. You have to install Yoast or one of the really amazing plugins for that ecosystem. And it does some good work right out of the gate for free once installed, but you really need to be on the paid plan if you want to run a more advanced program. And I would argue the same is true for Squarespace. Although out of the gate, brand new website, Squarespace does a lot for SEO with your ability to manage your tags, descriptions, alt text, and both at the website level and at the page level. There's actually quite a bit of customization available there. It's pretty robust. It's easily Yoast level, but it isn't advanced paid Yoast level. So if you're going to pay for Yoast, and you probably should if you run a viable business that relies on inbound organic traffic, the plugin I use for Squarespace is called SEO Space, and it's awesome, and I love it. It is core to my business's web design subscriptions. There's a link below if you want to check it out. I think it's pretty amazing, and Henry and the team over there do incredible work. They're responsive to features, and they run a thriving community. And he'll even train you on how to use it. He's got a great course, so don't sleep on SEO Space if you want to consider it for SEO. So if you want to consider Squarespace, I would say that it's easily arguable that WordPress is not lower cost, and that the open source plugin ecosystem is not all that healthy. And Squarespace can appear to be a bit of a walled garden, as was phrased in the email, because they don't provide a lot of APIs from a content perspective. So it's hard to do content imports and exports, and it's hard to provide feeds to Squarespace to provide content or to serve content on page. There are some workarounds, but nothing native. And it is absolutely not the highest cost web platform out there. I don't see it that way. So that's why I pick Squarespace over WordPress. But I mentioned at the start of this that everybody in here? No. So I mentioned at the start of this that once I decided who I wanted to serve, it was pretty easy for me to commit to the transition. And I say that because if you run a small business, and I've been on the calls with WordPress websites, I've been the developer. I've been on calls with clients because there was either a hacking or the website's down, brute force issues. None of those conversations were positive. And sometimes something happens, you got to go in and fix something and then surprise somebody with an invoice. Like, hey, your website's down, sorry, which felt like it was an indictment on my work. And then they get a surprise invoice for $50 or $500, whatever the issue was. And they weren't planning on that. And getting a surprise invoice sucks. You run a small business. You know what a website should do? It should get out of the way. It should not be a barrier to productivity. You have a business to run. Go run the business. The website should run itself. When you need to add stuff to the website, it should just work. But it doesn't need to be built on any specific platform. I choose Squarespace. But the idea that you can only do certain things on one specific platform because it's good for A or great for B, and it's the only one, is absurd. It is absolutely absurd. Go with what you enjoy using. I choose Squarespace because I like handing it off to people. I have clients that have been on Squarespace for 10 years. I've moved them from System 5 to System 6 to System 7 to System 7.1. And you know how many times they've complained about the website not being up, or some security issue, or some plugin showing a gray box because it was sunset and didn't tell anybody? Zero. Zero is the number of times. So when I decided to serve small businesses, that's what I chose. No interruptions, no disruptions from a workflow standpoint, no surprise invoices for, hey, sorry, your website's down, or you got a Russian wristwatch ads all over it, or it's down because you exceeded the amount of hosting because brute force got in and jammed your root directory full of PHP files that do nothing but phishing email redirects. All of that stuff has literally happened, and I don't want to have those conversations anymore. I want the business owners to run their business. I'll run the website and make sure that thing runs awesome. Squarespace is going to handle that. That's why, at the end of the day, I think Squarespace is a stronger choice than WordPress for small businesses. If you run a more robust business, you've got content feeds from different places and you need a single sign-on from multiple organizations and domains, go to WordPress. That's absolutely the right place for you. But for my clients and whom I choose to serve, I feel really good about the choices I've made. So that's why. That's it. It's all I got. That turned out to be a little more impassioned than I was going for. That was interesting. From an AI segment standpoint, in this particular video, there was another follow-up comment or question. Is anybody live? No, nobody's watching live. Good. I don't know why I said good. The question was also posed. I've been playing with what about AI-driven websites that, I know we're in the early days, but essentially building a website on prompts and inputs seems like that is a realistic threat to web building. And what sort of were the next steps? What were my opinions on the next step? That really feels like a whole honking video. That really feels like a whole video. So like and subscribe, and you'll be notified if you subscribe when that video publishes. Maybe I'll do that this Friday. I do think that deserves a whole episode. Look, I don't think that is a threat because agents are not a threat yet. Well, I'll reverse that. Agents are a threat. They just don't practically work in a functional way. I know Zapier and some others are trying agents out. The problem is if AI is going to interpret an input qualitatively, that's nothing but a series of security risks until it can do so consistently well. So the idea of agents being part of any sort of productive flow, the back end of a website, from forms and plugins and commerce and trigger emails, and not just design. AI can fire out designs. Use Framers. Framers web design AI thing is actually pretty cool. I don't know how practical some of those designs are for business, but if you have a personal blog you want to fire up, it'll be the most colorful thing you'll see. But there's so much more to design than just what AI thinks boxes and shapes and text should be sized and framed and displayed at. There's no strategy to that yet. In the future, there may be, but just like DIY builders, whether it's Divi or Squarespace or Wix, Webflow, haven't replaced designers either, because somebody has to be the authority on quality and strategic alignment. And that still happens from the human experience. And I just did a third of that episode right now. Anyway, I think this is a wrap. No struggle bus today. I feel pretty good. Having a good hair day. Why struggle bus? I'll put links to both Squarespace and SEO Space down in the description if you want to check those out. I highly recommend it. And look, if you want to yell at me, you want to call me crazy, put holes in my arguments, you're welcome to feel how you feel, but leave a comment below. I'd love to have an open dialogue about it. I'll even do another video. I'll even tell you I was wrong. I ain't worried about it. So anyway, look, thanks for watching. Like I said, like and subscribe. Catch that next video. I'm going to go deeper into whether or not AI is a threat in the near term to web design from a practical standpoint. And until then, I'll see you Friday at 11. Thanks for watching.